What's going on, everybody? Luke back again for another Amazon FBA video. I've been talking about Bqool for ages, various chats on the group, and it's everywhere, repricers. Now, with repricing, I'm going to just go over Bqool. I've not tried Repricer Express. It's basically similar. It was just that Bqool was a bit cheaper at the time, and that's why I've done it, and I've just stuck with it since. So people always ask, why do you want a repricer? Amazon have their own repricer. You go into, it's under pricing, and then whatever the other option is, something to do with whatever. You put the minimum and maximum that you want your items to sell for, and Amazon will reprice your products. La 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 la. Perfect, yeah. And everyone says, why can't you use a free Amazon one? Well, what happens with Amazon is, say that you buy it for £5. Say you're buying, I don't know, some sort of beauty thing for £5. It's selling at 15 quid. You think, you know what, I'll put the top at 16.99 and I'll put the bottom at 12.99. Let's just put that. It's at 15, 16. Then over time, as the Amazon system is basically competing or matching you against the other sellers, obviously other sellers will, so say that you set it to sort of go match the seller, the buy box, and lowest that you're willing to go down is £12.99. Over time, because there's loads of you competing, it will drive the price down to that bottom line of £12.99. But once it's done that, it will sit at £12.99, and it won't ever go back up. Your price on Amazon will never ever go back up to that £16.99 that you set the max at. I don't really understand why it's even really there, the max, because you can never set it to automatically go up to the max. So you're thinking, why does it matter? It goes down to £12.99. What happens is that with a repricer, you can refresh your listing I do it at like 4 AM every day, back up to your max price. So every day, every item I've got, every morning, because obviously no one's going to be buying at 4 AM, and if they are, it doesn't matter. All my prices will go back up to their max. So I'll obviously set a realistic minimum and maximum. The maximum will always be higher than the buy box when I set it. So if it's 15 quid at the moment, I'll put it at 19.99 or 18.99. Now you might think, okay, well why do that? It's selling at 15. What does it matter if I go back up to 17.99 or 18.99? Well, actually, what happens is that if all of you do that, well, two things are going to happen. One, if all of you by chance are using a repricer, let's say there's 5 sellers. So we're not selling in toys and games here. We're sort of groceries or something. Yes, it works with toys and games, but because it's so much denser in the number of sellers, it's going to be a lot harder for this, about what I'm about to tell you, this example to work. But let's just say we've got 5. All 5 people in the morning refresh to 19.99 or 16.99 or whatever the highest is. So we all know it's at 15, but we all repriced it every morning to go back up to 19.99. Well, if that happens, if Amazon still think 19.99 is the buy box, a realistic value for the products, and it gives us a buy box, now tomorrow the item's actually selling at 19.99 because all of us do that. So there is no lower value, anymore, because everyone's repriced up. And yes, we have got our minimum as like 12.99. And over the day, it would just chip away over the price. So if you can make some sales in the morning for that product, you will actually sell at a higher price, because the system hasn't yet brought down the price. It might be, by the time someone buys it at say 9 or 10 in the morning, yes, the price might not be that 19.99. It might be 16.99 because it's already repricing through the morning. But then and then in the evening, it might go back down to that 12.99 because there's a couple of you all competing for that buy box, brings the price down over the day. And so you make a couple of sales at 16.99, you make a couple of sales at 14.99, then you make a couple of sales at 12.99. And then what happens the next day? It reprices again. And you do the same. And for the price of this, which is about, I'll go through the pricing in a minute, but it's about $25, which is what, £18? You can potentially, not always, but you can make money. You see? Because you've actually, so there's these products that you wouldn't be selling tomorrow at a higher price because you're using the free Amazon one. It's still, tomorrow you wake up, it'll still be selling at your bottom, $12.99. I'm actually going to be selling a couple tomorrow at $16.99. So I'm always making a couple of quid over you who are not using it. And if you've got enough products doing that, You know, how long do you think it is before you start making a profit? Because I'm making £1 or £2 here, £1 or £2 there. Well, if I've got 1,000 products, you know, you could be actually making 100 items. Could be making that upper limit, making £1 or £2, or you can make £100 or £200. If you know each item just sells for £1, I get £1 profit more, and you're selling a couple hundred products a month, and you know, $25 doesn't seem so rich, does it? So, and it's not only that example. Another example is that if Amazon, you know, if you put it up from, it's selling at 15, you got bottom at $12.99. Even if you go back up to $18.99, if it still thinks, you know, that's reasonable, it doesn't. The buy box doesn't have to be the lowest Amazon fulfilled and the FBA seller, because basically, as long as you're within the, I sort of called it within the region of the buy box, it will rotate at a high amount. So you could actually make, you know, just because it's an FBA seller at 15 quid doesn't mean that Amazon won't give you a little bit less of the buy box. So instead of getting it for 2 hours a day, you might get it for 30 minutes a day because you're at a higher price, but it'll still give you a little sliver of that buy box at the higher rate. So even if you reprice up to $16.99, $17.99, and there's a couple of people that's still at the 15, you can still make sales at that higher number. Because I remember there was a hairdryer that I was selling, and it was selling at $32.99, $31.99, which is fine, you know, I'm happy with that. But it was selling once upon a time, and it does periodically at $37.99. Well, that's an extra couple of quid, like £3-4 quid. Well, if I've got 10 of those over the month, £3-4 quid profit extra, you know, that's £40 on one item. So, I reprice up, and because I'm making sales in the morning, it's actually selling at that higher limit, you know, and that's all it is. That's the leverage that you get over this, and also it has a lot more than just repricing that part. That's a good main thing I would say is the most important. I see it as the sort of USP of a repricer, you know, it's a unique selling point. So this is the website, Bqool.com. They have feedback and reviews, but unless you're doing private label, I would not worry about feedback or reviews because it doesn't matter. So sometimes, obviously, reviews doesn't matter because it's not your product, but feedback, some people say, do you need feedback to build up your account? Not really. It will still give you the buy box and all that, and it takes time. You'll get reviews over time, you know, and so on. And it's really, really easy to see. You can go on here and have a little look yourself at that. But this is the pricing structure. You get 14 days free trial, so you can even just try it out. But here it is, $25. Now, I basically, all the things that I sell that I can't replenish, I will just deactivate because obviously you can only have a certain amount of listings repriced before it tries to sort of make you upgrade. But this one is fine. Like I use this one. I actually now go across all the other countries, which I never did at the moment. Just start with the UK. You don't need anything else at the moment, and then you can sort of play with it as and when time goes on. But yeah, that's that. That's just literally just the repricing center, not the feedback or the other one. And now I'm going to just go into it. So these are just some of the old items I've got. I don't mind showing you. Most of them are inactive. This one's not. That's been there for so long, and he's just, I don't know. It's been there for ages. So toys. I don't really sell toys in games anymore. I used to, so some of these are just really old things that probably have long-term storage fees, but oh well, we'll just see. So some of these I'm trying to sell off. I'm not really making any profit, as you can probably see. Not really, still there, but I need to get it gone. So these things, I think I just, yeah, you can see here, just looking to get gone. I try to break even. I was losing a little bit there, but these were like really, I mean, every months and months. I just needed to get them gone. So don't think like, what is this? You know, why am I selling it for so low? Because that's not normally how I'd do it. But this is basically what it looks like. You know, listings active, and this is where you would go into your other place. I was gonna, well, I probably will create groups, but it's where obviously online arbitrage, different products every month. Maybe some of these don't apply, but I will probably build up a bit of a replenishable list for Christmas, and then segregate them out into these different groups so that I can just quickly jump to them. But this is how it is. You basically give remote access to your seller account. It populates all of this within 6 hours, I'd say. So as soon as it books in, the quantities will take about 6 hours to appear on here, and this will all be empty. So this will just all be like this, you know. And it will show you over here the buy box and the lowest price. So don't really. The tick means it's actually at the buy box. So I sometimes just go over my listings and see what sort of items are or aren't around the buy box. But this is how you do it. So let's say we got this for £5. You just chuck in here £5. You then go to here, click this little calculator. There we are. So if we were like, okay, I'm going to set my ROI bottom line 30%. Now I did try to do it like that and see if it populated the rest, but it doesn't. So I actually have to pay VAT. I'm on the flat rate scheme. First year at 6.5%. I basically just pay 6.5% on my total turnover each quarter, and that's it. Don't claim anything back. Don't, you know, eventually, but you can only do that as long as you don't trade over like 230,000 or something a year. So when it comes to Christmas time, I'm going to be over that for the year. I'll probably be on like 400 grand turnover for the year after December, which is far higher than the 230 that you need. So I'll have to register for the standard, you know, what most people are on. Basically, I'll have to sort that out. But at the moment, I type in my VAT rate at 6.5, and that's to see what we can do there. So I literally just type in a number that's normally double and a bit. Okay, so it gives you 48% ROI. So I will go down to. I used to set it all higher than 30%. Because it was current. So if the buy box was like giving me a ROI of 50, I wouldn't put it too much. I wouldn't put it down to this 30%. But what I found is that over time, as the item sort of adjusted its price, because obviously new sellers are entering. If I'm buying it, other people are buying it. So over about 1 or 2 weeks, the price is normally not going to be that 50% margin that you get it on day one. You might make 1 or 2 sales on day one if you get it in quick. But as all the sellers sort of are getting their stock in, like I am, the price normally stabilizes and goes down. So I used to then find that a lot of my items were not in the buy box anymore, because this I used to have at like, you know, if that was selling at $13.99 or $12.99, within 2 weeks that's selling at $9.99 or $10.99, and this now Repricer would not. My stock would just not be selling because I'm being a bit greedy, and I go with straight flat 30% on every item, in and out, you know, no messing around. Some people like go, oh, I don't want to do over 50 grand. Sorry, 50 grand. I only want over 50% ROI. But if you want to sort of, personally, if you're doing online arbitrage, RA, you can probably get 50 all retail arbitrage or 50% or over. That's fine. But if you're just doing online arbitrage and you want to be serious about this, and you just stay with 30 and just, you know, smash it through. You know, you don't want to be doing 3-4 grand a month trying to get £1,000 profit. Yeah, you can if you want to do it part-time, but if you really want to take it seriously and grow over years and not think of it as a short-term business, maybe like if you just want to do it seasonally, that's fine. But if you're just doing it as you want to get into this real full-time, sort of full-time at the moment and expand up later on other business models, then 30. Because, you know, for me, I can do 15-20 grand a month and set everything to 30, and you know, you can do 100. It works out fine. And then you got Christmas and everything as well. So really, through the year, you just want to be growing your business and turning everything over quickly and keeping your expenses down, and then leveraging the rest, leveraging the sort of 6 to 9 months at the beginning of the year, so that you can then smash Q4 like no one's business, and take January off or something. I mean, my January is awful, so I should have just gone to Spain or something and had a jolly. But anyway, that's another story. So you sit here. I mean, I used to just leave it at that. But what I found is that if I don't go, there was actually a bulk action tool, but this sets it at 30% across every item. But I find, depending on the item, I like to play with it. So I normally do at least £1 profit on really high turnover items. So if I can sell like 10 a day and I've bought 150, I'm happy to take £1, but the ROI will be lower because I can do 100, I can do 10 a day. It doesn't, and I can replenish. It doesn't matter that my ROI is low because it's irrelevant. Because it's not like I'm going to run out, because I can just keep buying from that same place. So if I could do 1 million, if I can buy 1 million of them, who cares if the ROI is 10%? Because you can sell 1 million. You get what I'm trying to say? So I normally do £1 on that sort of thing I just explained. £5 on a higher value item. So if I've got like a toaster, and I've got a lot, if I've got enough, I don't always buy toasters. It depends on the money, because they're obviously slightly higher value items. So if I've got £5 in the bank, I'm happy to buy a toaster for 38 quid, £30, make £5 profit. Yeah, the ROI is like 20%, but you're making £5. I can sell a handful of toasters in a month. I've got the £5 sitting there anyway. So the £5 sitting in the bank, I'd rather make, £5, 5,005 quid by buying a couple of toasters or whatever, than just leaving it in the bank. That's what I'm trying to say. So you set that, and I've started to go down to try to get it. I mean, it's a little bit faffy, it takes time, but once it's done, it's done. And once you add back more stock, say, it will just go back onto the same list and go, now it's not working. That's great. That's just disappeared. Nice, lovely. 10.89, something like this. Okay, it's not working. Perfect. You get the gist. So you would do that. Okay, the whole thing's frozen. And then you would just set that as 30%. So now you can set rules here. I used to have it on that, but I found. So I used to have it on. Basically, this was a custom-made rule. I'll show you that in a minute. But this was more one that was already set. And what was happening is that my prices were. This is as max. So a lot of my prices were at max, even though the buy box was lower. So I was not in the buy box, so it was sitting at max. But my minimum was actually within the range of the buy box, so it was basically not. It wasn't repricing quick enough, it seemed. So I had to change it to sort of be more competitive, because a lot of my stock was just not turning over as quickly as I wanted, and I'd rather take a little bit less and just go through a bit more with the stock, a bit more faster. And now I've actually got it quite nice in terms of speed. So yeah, anyway, we're going to go ahead and click on the repricing rule. Now, you can spend ages faffing through all these rules and making, you can tweak it all. It's quite faffy. Anyone that wants to know how I do my rules, let me know in the comment or on the Facebook group, Mr. FBA UK. I can go through it, but it's each to their own, really. It depends on everything. Like, there's so many different variables in how a seller wants to approach selling on online arbitrage. If you've got 40 grand, you could take 10% margin, and yeah, you think, but the more money you've got, the more flexibility, and it's every seller's different. There's a rough beginner's guide to it, but then once you start getting more aware of everything, you sort of adjust everything to your own. Some people want to make loads of money, some people want to get by, some people want to make part-time money. It's different things, but this is the schedule. So if you actually want to schedule times, nothing's in the eye, it's working now. I just say here on at 3 AM, it puts everything back to my max price, and then I re-enable the reprice at 4, and you can see here every day. That's it. And that's where that's the thing I was talking about, where it just reset my price to the higher value every night at between 3 and 4. You can go into here, and it has lots of fancy things. The only thing I would say is when my listing is basically make sure you sort of look at these a bit, because it's saying if you were against an FBA seller, so if I'm against a fulfilled by like a merchant fulfilled, my buy box, I basically customize it to go when the buy box equals my min price equals minimum price, I plus it So basically, I'm trying to sell it more than a merchant, because I should be able to get the buy box off of the merchant by increasing. Now that's actually quite high, to be fair. So I'm going to just lower this a bit, because if you go too high, it's gonna. But yes, it's basically, if I got it, it's just gonna increase my price, and that way I should get a bit more money. But a really nice thing I'm going to show you is the dashboard. Now, I will be a bit blurred here because it's got lists of all my products. But this is a dashboard, and you can add your sort of widgets as you want. So it shows me here my total sales for the day, each day. It's a little bit delayed, so like today, oh no, this isn't even, what's the day today? 29th? Yeah, so it's not even got today on. And this would be only UK sales, so there's no like merger for all the different marketplaces. So this will literally just be my UK sales, and then you're going to have to go here, and then you'd have to go through and look at every individual country, just like the Seller Central, you know. Here, last 30 days, you know, you can show your items. So total units. See, well here, 75 units are sold of that one, 70. And the same down here. You can just, you know, this has got the values, the sales value, and total orders, units, and there's, you know, you can add gadgets. Yeah, and you can just play around with it, but it gives you a really nice insight of the products that you're selling, how many units, and you can, you know, you can calculate for that for potentially your next. You could do it weekly. So I have 75 of that item. Okay, divide that by 4. That's say 4 weeks, you know, give or take, and that's how many units you would buy. And you could have it all set up automatically. And yeah, you don't have to do it like that. I just use it as a brief sort of. I sort of know what sells well and stuff. So. But I do like to just check back every so often, and sometimes you might want to look at the items that maybe only sell 5 or 4, so not as many as this, but the smaller amounts, but you make a good profit on, because then you can, you know, you don't want to get tied up with items that don't sell many a month, because too many of that, and you've got a lot of sort of stodgy stock or sort of like static stock where you can't sell. So it's nice to get you know, an actual sort of 30-day reading, or maybe you can sell 4 of that. So don't buy the 6 or the 8, buy 4, and it will just streamline your sort of your inventory and streamline your cash flow, and everything should be dandy. But yeah, and that is the video. You know, you can experiment with the other marketplaces. So I've started experimenting and not putting it up 30% or 35% on European marketplaces. I've actually started playing around with the sort of pricing to make it more competitive. But you've got to be careful. France have basically the fees that it populates in each item are slightly out. So I basically found that Germany's fees on the Repricing were basically wrong. They were too low. It wasn't picking up properly from the Amazon web sort of website or the Amazon Seller Central. France was the closest. Spain and Italy were out a bit, but Germany was really out. So be careful with those. Don't just think, oh my god, I can make, if I set it at 40%, I can make £6, because it might not be 40% ROI, it might actually be like 28 or 20, you know, completely different, because the fees that it was populating were wrong. So yeah, UK's standard, don't worry about the US, I haven't got that. And you can play around with them, you can use the free trial, but be careful with those. So yeah, hopefully you liked the video, and you've got a bit more insight into why Repricer is something you should be using. Anything over, you know, 50 to 100 units, or yeah, if you're, I'd say if you're selling 50 different items, maybe 100 units a month, you know, that sort of region, that might be worth just investing in a Repricer. Anything less, maybe not, because you don't want it to be too much of an expense when you're starting out early. Because I find that expenses is the quickest way to no profit. So you can sell whatever you want, but if you start adding all these extras and extras and extras because they look fancy or they look good, yes, they might save you a bit of time, but you want to be building momentum, and the expenses, the lower your expenses, the faster you're building momentum over the year. So last year, I played around. with my expenses. They were really high. Some months they were over, that's like $1.5 grand. Some months, and sometimes they, and then other months I managed to get it down to 500. That's not including my salary. Just stuff like boxes or whatever. But that sort of thing. But yeah, and for the sake of expenses, you can make an extra grand profit a month just by being smart with what you need at different stages of progression. You don't need to have it all at the beginning, So hopefully you like the video. Smash a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, I don't know, whatever else people do these days. Or join the Facebook group if you want a bit more insight on Mr. FBA UK. So anyway, thanks for listening and watching, and I'll see you on the next video. See ya.